Did you take any leadership role in middle school, high school,
Middle
class
school?
president?
I did.
I know you played tennis. What is it? Explain it to me.
Student council. But, you know,
Can you imagine someone asking you about your middle school career? Can you imagine that?
Have you ever been a hall monitor?
Were you captain of the cheerleading team?
This girl is nuts.
This grade, Miss Harris was snatching papers from everybody in the classroom. So me as a 10-year-old, I went to the principal and said, I'm tired of Miss Harris snatching papers. And I organized the students around getting Miss Harris to stop snatching papers. Now, there was a
Miss Harris. Miss. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our channel. Vivek Ramaswamy was on the Breakfast Club, and you guys wanted us to take a look at this. One of you guys graciously sent us a clip of this. Obviously it's not the whole video, because I think he talked for like over an hour or whatever, but we're going to take a look at this here clip. He had another run-in with that, Tesla girl.
and so I think we have a crisis of national pride.
Whose fault is that, though? That's America's fault. That's the system's fault for constantly failing the people.
Well, you know, I see it. I see it less about. We can allocate the blame. We can talk about allocating the blame. I think there's blame to go around. I think it's up to all of us to take a long, hard look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what is that vacuum in our heart? It's an old saying that goes, if there's a hole the size of God in your heart and God does not fill it, something else will instead. I think the same applies for belief in a nation as well. So I think what's going on is we're human beings. What makes us different from animals is that we can believe. We need to believe in something bigger than ourselves. And when we lose God and family and country, we start believing in new false gods instead. That's what's going on in the country. And so I don't know that it's so much a question of fault, but more a question of how do we actually revive our sense of self-confidence and pride.
It's definitely a question of fault. I can absolutely blame white supremacy, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
See, say more, and then I'll.
He said, I can put fault on this. I can absolutely blame white supremacy. Here we go.
Okay.
He's going to blame people basically not being patriotic on white supremacy.
It's like, to me, it looks like when you just look at Vivek and you look at Charlemagne, you look at someone who wants to stay stuck and someone who wants to move forward.
It's true. His whole vibe seems like he wants to move forward.
He wants to still blame. He wants to move on.
Now, what Charlemagne just did there was use what we call trigger words. So, racism, slavery, white supremacy, systemic racism. These are all trigger words that's like a dog whistle to black people to get mad, get mad, get mad, don't forget, get mad. And so him saying that white supremacy is what is basically the moral downfall of this country is based on white supremacy is stupid.
100%.
Really?
Yeah.
See, say more, and then I'll respond to that.
I mean, just look at the history of the country. Like, it's just really just that simple for me. The country has never fulfilled its promises of freedom, liberty, and justice for all. It's always been freedom, liberty, and justice for some. And usually that some is white people.
So here's what I would say in response to that. That is obviously true that the nation has fallen short of our promise since our founding. But walk through some obvious facts about America. We're not founded on an ethnicity or a monarch or a food or even a religion. We're founded on a set of ideals that brought a group of people together in 1776, and we live by those ideals. At least we aspire to those ideals today. A nation that aspires to ideals that's not made up of gods, but made up of human beings, will always fall short of those ideals. So I think our worst hypocrisies as a country, and we have many of them, our worst hypocrisies are our best evidence that we have ideals at all. You take a look at other countries. Nobody ever calls the Chinese Communist Party a hypocrite, or China a hypocrite, or Iran a hypocrite. Why is that? Because to be a hypocrite, you at least had to have ideals in the first place.
But a lot of
and so we're imperfect, but we are about the pursuit of a more perfect union, the pursuit of happiness. America's about the pursuit. And so I think that trashing ourselves, I think we are, actually.
The reason I say that is because, we never were included in those ideals originally.
Originally. Yeah. But never and not originally are two different things. Mm-hmm. Originally?
Yes, Charlamagne, originally we were not included in that. Yes, we get that. But that was then, this is now. Like you just said, he obviously wants to move forward, and he obviously wants us to stay stuck.
Vivek is right. I mean, part of the reason why Black people were so successful during the Jim Crow era, and the reason why, at a time when the country was really racist, real racism, the reason why Black people were able to not only do well in education, because they were doing well in some white schools.
Yes.
Some Black schools are doing well better than some white schools. But not only education, but in marriage, there were some areas in America where Black people out-married white people. You know what I mean? But there were a lot of Black businesses, and a lot of the reason why that was is because we did have a strong Judeo-Christian values. We also had family. There weren't really absent fathers. There were always a father in the home. It all included a mother and a father. They had community.
Right.
And so because of what was going on in the country, Black people were able to then open up their own businesses and do their own thing and have their own schools, which gave us a good economy.
Right.
We were a trying race then, not a crying race.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so what's happened after the civil rights movement is we became a crying race.
Yes.
And we stopped getting businesses. We largely. Our families broke up due to the welfare. And then also abortion became legal. Broke up a lot of family. Like you said, it hurt the whole country, but it really hurt Black people.
Right. Civil rights movement really kind of began this kind of campaign to kind of feel bad for, Black people are being treated bad. That was pushed. And so I think that's what we're up now today. It's just increased, but we've done better. We're doing better now. So it ushered in the kind of victimhood mentality is what we're seeing now. So Charlamagne is trying to push that victimhood thing, and Ramaswamy over here is being progressing to something bigger, better. The pursuit, as he said, our country is based on ideals, and the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of doing well by family, all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting.
Yeah, because here we have a Black millionaire who's pretending like he's oppressed,
and an Indian
talking to an Indian who's also a millionaire. You know what I mean? Yeah. And for him to pretend like he didn't have any opportunities when he's sitting here with his own show.
Yeah, it's really funny.
And trying to pander to poor Blacks by saying, oh, yeah, we weren't always fair. But you are in a fair position.
Right.
Why don't you hammer the keeping families together and work hard for, work hard at a business? Why don't they want to hammer that? Why do they only want to hammer race?
Originally, that's true. Over 250 years of progress, if you had somebody who was in 1870 looking at the world we live in today, if you had somebody in 1960 who was looking at the world we live in today as it relates to race in America, we would be darn close to what they would have thought of as the promised land. So I think we have to recognize that America is about that pursuit. We're a lot further along than we were 250 years ago.
And we have Teslin Figueroa. I'm sure Teslin has some questions. Tez, you good?
Yes, I do. So I've heard a lot of, what you think and your vision, and I'm a very practical person, and I want to kind of, opposed to talking about your opponents, let's talk about you for a moment, and let's actually talk about your policy. Explain to me your position on this civic duty voting.
Sure. So my position is, I think that every kid who graduates from high school should know the minimums about the country that we require an immigrant to know about the country in order to become a citizen. That's my civic duty voting proposal. And the reason is, I'll actually make a prediction. I think youth voting in this country will skyrocket. From a very low level right now, it will skyrocket because you value something you actually have to earn.
Well, I got a test. I would like to see if you're willing to pass, because I believe in, just as you believe in civic engagement, I believe in changing the ideas of what political opponents look like, what they should look like, or political candidates. Are you willing to take a test with me quickly? Because I just have a couple of questions for you.
I will, absolutely.
So
and the way this is opening up, I have a feeling I'm about to fail it, but that's good. Let's do it.
That's right, yeah. Just for clarity, I am an independent. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. Cool. I think that's important for the premise of the argument, because I know you did a lot of debating at Harvard. I also want to make it clear these are the same questions that I asked liberal Democrat Marianne Williamson. So I want to make sure that we put that out there as well, just to kind of set the foundation.
I'm open to being humbled. Let's do this.
Okay, great. Let's go. So you mentioned, the pride of being an American and how important it is to have pride in this country. I'm also a veteran, by the way, for the United States Air Force. So when is it that you voted for the first time?
I voted in 2020.
Okay, so you're how old again?
I'm 37 years old.
So for how many years you sat around and did not get involved at all in any civic engagement? Is that my understanding?
A long time is the answer.
Sat around? Heard this
You know what this man has been doing for the last... This guy's like almost a billionaire, and he's 38 years old. Wow.
It's like... Okay, I'm sorry. Last time we kept calling her this woman.
I am shocked that he never voted up until 2020.
Yeah.
But Jason Whitlock also talks about that. Mm-hmm. He's like, I've never voted either. This time when we vote will be his first time ever voting.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't vote.
Yeah.
You know what they say? Only about 30% of the country actually
doesn't
votes.
So, but he's
not the only one.
There's obviously a reason for that, right? Because a lot of time, because of what's happening, is that a lot of people don't believe in the politics. Because it's very corrupt, right? In many ways, but it's also but if you're not participating, then you're okay with the corrupt. See, when you don't participate, that means you're not looking for change, and that means that you're okay with the corruption. So that's probably a lot of it. It's just what difference does it make? What I mean? A lot of people have the mentality of, what difference does it make if I vote or not?
Yeah. I actually agree with Tesla on this. So if she's, I don't know what she's going to say next, but to run for president and you've never voted until 2020, that is kind of shocking. And it could be just because he's done well in this country and he's seeing things change and he's thinking I have enough money to run my own campaign because he doesn't have donors. Yeah. And so I can see that point, but I'm kind of agreeing with her a bit. I see what she's saying a little bit.
It's interesting that he hasn't voted.
It is interesting that he never voted.
Answer. And actually, that's what I wrote this book about. I'm not holding myself out as some sort of model. I'm actually offering myself as a self-reflection of my journey as a citizen, to whom this country has given much, right? As an adult, when you have kids, it changes your perspectives. I'm very honest about that. Absolutely.
Okay, no problem. So let's go deeper into the self-reflection. So you've sat around for, and sir, I'm being as respectful as I possibly can. Please don't take anything
and you don't even have to be. And you don't even have to be. So take it off and let's go.
So you've been sitting around in the country that my ancestors built for about 20 years. Your parents came over as immigrants, brought you over. You made millions, according to your resume, off of this country, and you have absolutely not been involved in civics. One, not voting, and two, let me just ask, because I know you mentioned earlier you don't want to sit around at the debate and talk about accomplishments. Let's make the accomplishments pretty simple. In high school, were you ever a class president or take any leadership role? Because your opponent did, Chris Christie. He was the class president. So
did she wait a minute?
Okay, now she lost me. She had me with she almost had me with the voting thing. But are you really going to tell me
did she just say?
Are you really trying to say that in order to be a president, you had to be class president or some kind of high school? Come on.
Did she just say that out loud? She's asking about being class president.
This woman has no shame with how far she reaches. She reaches so far
That's embarrassing.
to the point of not even making sense or any logical sense that, honestly, I'm surprised she's not ashamed.
Yeah, she's not though.
Of that. You know what I mean? But she is not.
She just, okay, that's I just
can't believe she just said that.
I can't believe she just said that either.
Have you ever taken any leadership at all on anything, or just?
Can I just correct a couple factual things that are kind of important? My parents didn't bring me over to the country. I was born in this country, and I'm proud of that.
No, I know you were born here in Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio.
You mentioned my parents.
I'm saying your parents were immigrants. My apologies.
That's all right. You said your parents brought you over to this country. I thought
my
I would
apologies.
set that record straight.
They were immigrants, but let's not go down the water hole.
No. We're not going to water hole. I just want to correct a couple facts, and then the other thing is
you were born here in Ohio.
I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's right.
Right. So you've been here your entire life. So the question is, Did you take any leadership role in middle school, high school,
Middle
class
school?
president?
I did,
I
yeah.
know you played tennis. What is it? Explain it to me.
Student council. But I think that
Middle
this is
school.
yes, I've held leadership roles over my life, but those don't qualify me to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
That's
it kind of
just-
Wait a
does.
minute. Can you? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Can you imagine someone asking you about your middle school career? Can you imagine that?
Have you ever been a hall monitor?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Every president that's gone into office says that every president that goes into office, no matter if they're Democrat or Republican, says no one can prepare for the job because it is an on-the-job training.
Yes, right.
There is nothing you could do. You could be a senator or whatever, but even those people that are senators, they're saying there is nothing like being the president. It is an on-the-job training. So,
Were you captain of the cheerleading team?
this girl is nuts.
Okay,
Well, it kind of does. Well, I'm giving the test. I'm the test
Okay,
administrator.
all right, there you go.
So it kind of does, because when you go from saying I want to go to the highest office,
And I'll tell
of
you,
the land-
I've led companies as well. Is the other leader?
Right,
The
well,
main leadership
right, but-
role I've played is and I want to talk about one early part of your premise that I also want to say, to bring it to the country point. The other point, you use the word sitting around. I'm not somebody who's saying I want the next generation, my kids' generation, to have more civic duties when they graduate from high school and college than I did when I did. That being said, I wasn't sitting around. I've developed medicines, 5 of which are FDA-approved products today, one of which is a life-saving therapy in kids, 20 of whom die by the age of 3 if they're not treated, 70% of whom now live lives of a normal duration. Another one for prostate cancer. So I don't apologize
excuse
for
me,
making
sir.
contributions. But
right. Well, I don't want you to filibuster that
No worries.
because
Just
that's
not
not the
sitting-
question that I asked. And I don't consider, as a veteran, I'm talking about service. I'm not talking about what you
Civic
did for
service,
profit. I'm not talking about what you paid people to do with
Yeah.
your
So I
company.
have
I'm
not
not talking
served-
about
I have
that
not served the country
because that
in the way
means
you
nothing
have.
to me.
You do
what I'm
realize
talking,
she
what
hasn't
I
been
am
able to ask a question. She's been trying to
Go
ask
for
a
it.
question,
Yeah.
and you've been talking over her.
I'm
and
all
you-
ears.
We gave you the platform to let you say
Seems a
what
little
you said.
defensive.
I'm all ears. No,
she
no,
hasn't-
I was
she
just
hasn't-
correcting a
she
couple
hasn't had a chance
facts,
to
that's
ask
all.
a question yet. Every
Go
time
ahead,
she
Ted,
tries
ask
to
the
ask a
question.
question, you've been cutting her off. Go ahead, Ted.
I'm all ears.
right. So so my question again is,
Quick. DJ Envy got a little bit of balls here. So this time around, I feel like they feel like he's their age, so they feel a little bit more comfortable than they did with Larry.
But he was fixing the facts. She had facts wrong about his life.
Yes.
And so it was important.
He had to stop
It's important
them.
that he stop and
Yeah.
say, because this woman just likes to move on.
Yeah, she
you know What I mean?
does.
So she had some things wrong about his personal life.
Yeah, so he had
So,
to stop it.
I forgot DJ MV even was there.
I know, he finally said something.
you're trying to your goal is to raise the standard, and you're saying you want people to believe in country and you want people to have civic engagement. And sir, I just find it very telling that you haven't had any civic engagement at all and haven't been at all. And when I say sit around, I don't mean you haven't done anything. I'm talking about in regards to service, because one thing about political office, the same way that you want to change how people look at politics and look at this country, I want to change how people look at politicians. And when I see that someone hasn't did anything at all to be of service to mankind, to take a leadership role. It's not good enough to just be on city student council. Were you a leader? All of that applies. Have you been able to get anybody in the room at any time, from a high school gymnasium to Ohio, Republican leadership there to now? Have you been able to get anybody in a room to believe in this vision? I don't agree with a lot of your vision statement, but I do know you've been going around having these
Hey,
discussions.
first of all, Barack Obama was a community organizer. He sucked as a president.
I would be so embarrassed to even answer this question, because I think that as an adult, like, he's an adult. You're asking an adult about his high school.
Let me tell you, Vivek Ramaswamy is 38 years old.
Yes,
He is, I
37,
think he's
I think.
worth almost $900 something
Yeah,
million
he's
dollars.
up there.
He is what he said. He's done lots of
Yeah.
for the drug company.
Yeah.
He's helped a lot in that area. And for her to pretend like this guy is not a leader when he's 38 years old
I
and
know.
worth more than probably all of them in this room.
Yeah, he is.
He's not even 40 yet.
Yeah.
And look what he's accomplished. Imagine where he's going to be at 50.
Can you imagine?
You know what I mean? Of course you have leadership skills. You have to in order to get to that point.
But she's only talking about his high school.
Right, but that's the reason
really
why she's
weird.
going back to high school, because this guy is so accomplished
accomplished,
that you
yeah.
have to reach so far back into middle school to make him look bad. She literally believes what she's saying is like a drop mic situation. She does this thing where she's saying nothing but talking a whole lot.
to now, have you been able to get anybody in a room to believe in this vision? I don't agree with a lot of your vision statement, but I do know you've been going around having these discussions and getting everybody emotionally worked up to talk about vision and debate. But I want to get to the practical. You're trying to go from preschool to president of the United States. You're skipping over city council, county council, mayor, governor. You want to go straight to the top. So my question is this a PR? Is this for the PR, the perception of reality, or can you point to any leadership where you've been able to get people to believe in what you're talking about that they're not paid to do on any of these vision statements that you have? If not, then to me it's a moot point, because you're holding a standard that you haven't met yourself.
So if you're only going to count government service, you're absolutely
No, not government
right.
service.
Okay.
Student council in the 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th. Were you a leader? Did you do anything to rally anybody? Did you fight for better lunch? I did in the 6th grade with Miss Harris.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about government. I can go all the way back from the 5th grade.
Did she just say that she fought for better lunch?
She got Big Macs. What did she get? What did she fight for,
What the hell
Tesla?
is she talking about?
Tesla, what kind of food
You see how
you eat?
Vivek was looking at her like, did she just ask me if wow. Leadership is everyone has their lane.
Yeah.
Where they're good. But leadership in itself is what it is. It's someone who can organize and someone who can take control of a situation, be able to rally people together to get a certain specific attack. She did it for lunch.
She did it for lunch.
You know what I mean? This woman, she just says anything. This man owns a multi-million-dollar company. Of course he has leadership. You're talking about he's sitting around? He's sitting around?
You're great every year, sir, because people who are in service to this country, if you're going to go around saying you want people to believe in this country that I signed up to die for, then I want to make sure that you're holding that same standard. So not government, not political. Let's not get it confused. Yeah. I'm saying, have you did anything of service that we can point to say he is a good leader? Like Chris, and I'm not even a fan of Chris Christie, but he was the student council president in high school. So have you done anything of service besides yourself that has not benefited yourself? It's just a simple question.
So the acts of service that I have performed are small, so small that I don't even want to talk about them to boast. But yes, have I volunteered for this country? Yes, I have. I've always been interested in healthcare.
It's okay to talk about the small things.
I mean, these are small things, right? But thank you.
Let's just mention
Bethesda North Hospital.
So it's really a no?
No, it's not a no. It's just something I don't like boasting about. I
Well,
volunteered.
we're not boasting. It's an interview.
So
You're boasting on your vision and everything else.
I think
you boasted on the millions of dollars that you made. So let's just throw it out. So in 6th grade, I'll give you an example. I'll help you out. In 6th grade, Miss Harris, Miss Harris was Let me give you an example because maybe you're confused. In the 6th grade, Miss Harris was snatching papers from everybody in the classroom. So me as a 10-year-old, I went to the principal and said, I'm tired of Miss Harris snatching papers, and I'll organize the students around getting Miss Harris to stop snatching papers. Now there was a
Miss Harris. Miss.
She mentioned she was in the military. Maybe that's what happened to her. She was in a man's position and she got yelled at enough and she's just lost her damn mind.
She said,
Miss
Harris
snatch
papers.
Remember Chad Jackson said they had a little race riot?
a little
race riot on the playground. This woman is
Oh
pretending like this guy is not who he is.
She's talking about her. Okay.
She keeps talking about his vision too. Oh, you want everybody to see your vision? That's part of being the president.
Yeah.
Is to give people a vision. And he's getting a lot of people on his side, which means people agree with his vision. On the other hand, people are really laughing at you lately. No one agrees with your vision except for Charlemagne.
Yeah.
And DJ Envy. That's it.
How is she not embarrassed? Oh my God.
Consequence for that. I got suspended for 5 days for talking back, and I got in trouble. I got a spanking, and I was on punishment for months and months. But that is a simple way of organizing people. So I want you to kind of boast about it the way you did the millions of dollars and said what you did with the pharmaceutical companies. What leadership can you point to that you've been able to rally anybody around anything that is of service that you did not pay anybody to do? I think that's important for the next president of the United States.
Sure. So
remember, I don't know if anybody, I didn't watch this guy that much, but when Kevin Samuels used to put a mute button.
Right, yeah, mute or mic.
When women wouldn't shut up and let him get his point across, he used to have this mute button. And I really think that they should do that for her.
Yeah. I know he's embarrassed because they're dumb. So he's having to, oh my God, he's having to dumb himself down. Like she's asking him, you guys, to boast about his time in high school, and then she gave an example of her taking it to the streets in Miss Harris's class.
So were you saying that you deserve to be president because you
so that
kept people from getting their paper snatched from their teacher? You know what I mean? You're boasting about your military career.
Yeah.
And also, he never said he made millions of dollars. He didn't. She said you always want to. You want to talk about your success and your $1 million. He never said that.
He never said that.
He never said that at all. He said that this is what he did as a this is what he did for a living, and because of that, he's had leadership skills in that. And of course he has.
Right. And if no one even knew who Vivek Ramaswamy was, they didn't know he was a millionaire, you just told them, not him.
Yeah. I like Vivek. I don't like that he. I feel like he has a lot of ties to Big Pharma.
Big Pharma,
and I have a problem with that. You know what I mean? But as far as what he's saying about the vision of our country, I like it.
Yeah, we'll do more research on him, but I do feel like the biggest thing I would say is that the Big Pharma thing might bother me a little bit. We don't need more of that, but but this is interesting.
I've always been drawn to healthcare. That's why I ended up founding companies in that space. When I was in high school, part of what drew me into it was that I was a volunteer at a local hospital. I actually became the leader of that group of volunteers that actually discharged women who had recently given birth. That was it. Nothing big to it.
Did you do anything we can point to stand out?
But I want to say something about that, because I say that in the book. If I'm being really honest, why did I do that in high school? A part of the motivation, I'll be just brutally honest with you, was that's actually what allows you to get into a good college when you graduate. Is you want to check the box of community service. So it was about you.
So there was an element,
so there's that, and I'm admitting that in a way that very few other people do. But I got to be honest about it. That was a big part of why I did it.
Yeah, it was about self, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to give it back to the guys. I'm going to be honest about it with you.
Yep.
Leadership is not about self.
I agree with you on that.
What I just heard is that everything is about you. And to be honest with you, this is just a PR campaign, sir. To be honest with you, and I think you're trying to go further to the right because you want the Republicans to accept you as a man of color. And I think the only way you think you can do that is to be so extreme.
I appreciate your opinion.
With your positions.
So that's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about him not being white.
Yeah.
And being a Republican.
Yeah.
It always comes back to that. And let's keep it real. I was watching the Hodge twins. They did a little snippet of this interview, and the Hodge twins said, "We were Marines. We got paid."
Yeah. So what?
So you didn't do that for self.
Yeah, she's acting like like when you're in the service, you get paid for that. I mean,
you do. And a lot of people who go to the military do it so they can get
college
go to college
and all
things like that.
Yeah.
It gives you health care and all kinds of things. So you can do two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah,
you can help the community and also want to do something selfish that can help you help the community. Right. Everybody does. That's why the reason she keeps boasting about her military service, because she wants everybody to take her seriously.
Yeah. As a veteran,
let me tell you something. I appreciate
it's very hard for me to follow leaders that make everything about them. So you might want to work on that, because it's a lot of veterans and Republicans. So you might want to work on that talking point, and maybe do some volunteering while you're on the campaign trail. I'm going to give it back to Charlamagne and Envy.
Yeah. Once I want to be respectful. Want to make sure you got everything you wanted to on the table before I respond to that.
If this was just us, it would be a lot more.
You guys tell me. I'm the guest on your show. You tell me when I'm good to speak.
Go ahead.
You sure? You sure about that? If we're good.
Yeah, we're sure.
So I think there's a different worldview that we have. And I think the worldview is how one actually makes contributions in a country. I do not believe that there's a separate category of just if you're serving the country and then if you're acting in self-interest, that's somehow sinful or wrong. I reject that vision. To the contrary, I think capitalism is the best system known to man to lift people up from poverty. I deeply respect and I thank you for your service to this country. I'm grateful for it. I haven't served the country in the way that you have. But I think that the way you get ahead in capitalism, how did I develop a multi-billion-dollar biotech company? It was by developing medicines that save people's lives.
A lot of people say capitalism causes poverty.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Okay.
I disagree with that. I think that capitalism demands that you provide something to someone that helps them more than you're actually charging them for it. That's the only way.
That's
the
a
tried
business
and true
model,
way
sir. That's
it
not
is a business
service.
model. It's not. I'm not
That's
saying
not
it's
service.
I'm saying it's having an impact on society.
An elected official is service. That's the disconnect.
That's right. So now I'm moving on to there are phases of our lives where we do different things.
That's America.
Yeah.
You work, you eat.
Yeah,
you know what I
what are you
mean?
talking about?
You have to do something. What does Thomas Sowell say? He's like, you have to. He's like, if you can do something in your life that people are find worth paying for,
Yeah.
then you will be successful in this country. That's the
Right.
difference between us and communism.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So she is also doing capitalism.
They're
These are all wealthy people.
All of these people are doing capitalism.
You know what I mean? Well, he's right. Capitalism is the only system
Yeah.
that allows a poor person to be middle class
Yeah.
or to be wealthy. People have this this mistake of thinking that being a conservative, being a Republican means that you are white.
It's not.
Before the 1950s, most black people were Republicans. The first black people in office right out of slavery were Republicans.
The country itself was primarily conservative, and not even politically. I'm just about in general. The country was conservative. We all behaved traditionally and conservatively. Most people. So I feel like when I hear people like she's trying to equate the fact that he's making money to him just not doing any good in the world, but when all actuality was his talent in making pharmaceuticals and things and creating these things has helped. I don't care why he's doing it
Not only
necessarily.
that, he's creating jobs.
Yeah, he's creating jobs, he's creating in health, he's saving lives, and I'm like, but that all gets swished away. Either throw the baby away with the bathwater just because he's making money at it. Like I don't get that. I don't like what you're trying to spin that.
And you know, I don't know what's going to go on after this, but so far Vivek hasn't turned around and said, "Well, you guys are all wealthy."
Yeah,
Because you know why?
Because
Because it's great that they're wealthy.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. I like wealthy people.
I don't mind
have a problem
that,
with
yeah.
that. You know what I mean? If you work for your money, you work hard for your money.
Yes.
You should be. You should be all right with that. I mean, you should not make people feel bad about being successful.
And he doesn't feel bad about it, I can tell.
But black people who are successful always feel bad.
bad. They always do.
And then when they see black people who aren't feeling bad, and then they're free, like Larry Elder or Tim Scott or Vivek Ramaswamy or when you don't.
He's not apologizing for his success, and he's standing in that, and so he's not intimidated by the situation because he actually is proud of himself.
And that's the reason why they always have to preface, I'm not a Democrat, I'm independent. Why? She didn't even need to say that. But she's saying that because she is a Democrat.
Right.
Sideswipe him and make him feel like he's some kind of monster because he's successful.
Yeah.
You know, I would think Donald Trump is probably one of our best presidents, and he's really wealthy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, you're moving straight all the way up to President of the United States.
You know, I don't view it as a hierarchy. I don't view it as a hierarchy. I don't believe in hierarchies. The hierarchy is the way the bureaucracy works. I don't believe in so we have a difference in opinion.
You also don't believe in service, and that's where we're having a disconnect.
Well, I disagree with you on that. I just disagree with you on that.
I like people who just tell the truth. Vivek is telling the truth. He never voted.
Yeah.
That's honest. He said that he wasn't hall monitor.
Yeah.
He had other strengths in other places. He's always been geared to healthcare.
Right.
And I spend hours looking. You were in the Phi Beta Kappa. Did you have a leadership role in college, the honor roll? When somebody sets service as the standard and they've done no service except to themselves, that's a fair question. It's a question.
And you just so I've been on the, I mean, look, I was on high school student council. Yes, absolutely.
Were you a leader? Were you a leader?
I was a vice president of my high school student council. Absolutely. I was the president of the National Honor Society. I can go down the list. It's just that
that's what I was asking you to do. Go down the list.
So I was a president of the National Honor Society. I was the vice president of my student council. I was a lead amongst the volunteers at the hospital where I served growing up. I was actually a leader in volunteer research over the summers. From my senior year,
all of that, but you already admitted all of that was to get into college.
Not all of it, but I am admitting it. I think that
I know that's.
She's trying to discredit all of his accomplishments. Right. And not everything that he did was self-serving. He's saying that some things in his own community he helped. That's not self-serving. That's just helping your community.
Yes.
I'll let them wrap up.
Let me just say one thing: here's my vision of the run for presidency, and this is why I say I'm an open book. Is my job is to make sure people in this country know who I am and what I stand for. And I think that very few politicians on either party actually get that job done. So what I say is I'm an open book about who I am and what I stand for. Whether the people of this country want to vote for me, that's their question, not mine. That's their job to determine, not mine. And you're free not to vote for me. I expect you won't, and that's okay. But I'm doing my job in the 3 books I've written over the last year, in the conversation I'm having with you guys, being far more honest than any politician that I know in the last 10 years in this country. And I think when I say we want to fix corruption, you don't know what the first step is? The first step is actually people being honest.
I'll link the whole conversation below if you guys want to see the whole thing. But someone sent us, I'm going to read it here in a second. They were saying, like, you know, so we had mentioned in our other video with her, that other one, we said that Charlemagne, we said that they are paid agitators and agents. That's what we call them. They're agitators and agents. That's what we call them. And this guy sent us this like a screenshot of her talking. I guess she had someone on her Instagram page said that she's gonna eventually get watered down, right? And so on her, she wrote underneath that comment, it says she's gonna get watered down. She said, "Watered down version of myself," and she had laughing emojis. She said, "I am known," in big letters, "I am known for bringing fire and smoke." So I know that she's an agitator. She's paid to agitate.
Yeah.
This is not real. I can't with this woman. I can't. I feel like Vivek was embarrassed to even talk about his accomplishments as council and vice president of, you know what I mean? Like, who is gonna keep asking this same thing and then double down on the stupid question? What do you guys think about Vivek? Anyways, you know, Karen and I said that we just only, I feel like well, I need to learn more about him, but I know people are now saying that he's a flip-flopper, but it's really interesting with even that, because I'm like, if you had seen me just 5 years ago, I'm not saying half the stuff that I'm saying now because I learned more. So what is, do you think that, I mean, he is a politician, you know, at this point.
No, he's definitely a politician.
Yeah, he's definitely.
Even though I think he's a little bit politician-y,
Yeah.
I still think his energy, because he's young, he brings something new. He brings that millennial energy to
the youth.
You know, we don't have these old people like Joe Biden and you know, even Trump.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton, all of these boomers.
Yeah.
That are still thinking like boomers in
So
the modern age.
it's kind of nice to see someone that's a little bit more vivacious and
he brings,
you know.
he gives me hope for young people because he's younger than me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so he's rallying a group of people and showing this is what the next generation of conservatives will be.
You're right. I mean,
and it's refreshing.
It is. Let us know what you think, you guys. Leave some comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Feel free to like and subscribe to our channel. We would greatly appreciate that. And we will see you guys in the next video.